All right, welcome. We are working today with a theme of unconditional love. It's actually Family Day here today in Ontario and other provinces as well, and that means it was Valentine's Day recently. And with Valentine's Day, we often focus on love for another, but today we really want to focus on how we bring unconditional love to ourselves. And really the key here is to welcome everything that arises. So there's often the sense that we resist parts of ourselves, we don't like parts of ourselves, we don't want to look at parts of ourselves or what's going on around us. But if we can open our container of love to receive and accept everything, then whatever arises for us, we can think about welcoming that in, whether we like it or not. Whether it's, what in order to change, we need to welcome and to receive and to be with ourselves. If we're constantly pushing away and rejecting, then we're creating a bunch of resistance in our bodies. So our bodies and minds are not separate. So when we expand the container of our body and feel more expansive, we feel more relaxed, less stressed in our heads and in our hearts as well. So today we're going to focus on creating some space around the heart so that we have this great big container that can hold all of who we are. Right? So not just the good stuff, not just the pretty, the attractive, the stuff that we like, but to hold all of who we are. So creating some space. So we're going to start lying down today. So I'll see you over on the mat. So you can come to lie down on your mat. And when you get there, find a place where it's comfortable for your arms to be a little out to the sides, maybe even a little higher than shoulder height, but it could be lower depending on any restriction you might feel. But we want to feel a little bit of expansion. So you're not all closed in. We're finding a little openness here. I want to say that for some of you, it may feel challenging to welcome all that is today. So if that is the case, if challenging feelings come up for you, see if you can ignite some compassion. So unconditional love is a journey. It's not sort of a decision that we make and then suddenly we're there, but that we, over time, bit by bit, we let go of the stories in our head that tell us we're not good enough. So once you've found this position for your arms, making sure that your neck and jaw are relaxed, take a few breaths here. See if you can relax your belly. Let the breath move into your abdominal area. Have a sense of perhaps relaxing down through the lower back as you exhale. And simply focusing on your breath right now. Feeling a gentle rise and fall. If you can feel some movement in your belly and relax your belly to feel that, that's great. If not, just notice where you do feel the breath. And then let's slide the arms down a little to the sides and reach out through the fingertips. You're reaching from the center of your heart out through your fingertips. Take a nice full breath in, and as you exhale, lift your arms up towards each other. So they're facing this ceiling, and do a few circles with your wrists. Circle one way and the other. You can have your hands open or make fists, whatever feels like a good movement for you. And then take your hands, interlace your fingers. You can press the palms up towards the ceiling. A little stretch for the hands and the wrists. And then release and spread the arms wide again. Reach from fingertips to fingertips and grow your arms long. Big breath in, and as you exhale, crossing the arms over your chest this time, bringing hands to opposite shoulders. Creating a little more space into the back area of the heart. And then breathing into that space. Notice which arm you've got closest to your face, and we'll do the opposite. So you'll reach out with a breath in. And then as you exhale, crossing the arms the other way across the chest and staying there for a few breaths. And see if you can feel breath, or even just imagine breath moving into the back space of your upper back, into the shoulder blade area. And then taking the arms wide again, opening. And big breath in, and then as you exhale, lowering the arms to your sides and turning the palms towards the ground. This time we'll raise the arms straight up overhead. So lifting the arms straight up and bringing them down behind you any amount until you feel your shoulders say that's enough. And then you'll bring the arms back down to your sides. If you'd like, you can coordinate this movement with your breathing. So you'd inhale as you lift up. And then exhale as you release and lower down. Do a few more at your own pace. Feeling that expansion around the heart. Great. And then next time your arms come down, we'll stay down. This time we'll take one leg, same arm, and bring the arm to a position where the back of the hand and the elbow can be on the ground. And reach the arm and leg away from each other. So that might be straight overhead for you. It might be more to the side. Reach out a little bit, and then imagine that you could breathe all down that whole long side from the armpit to the waist or the hip. Maybe even imagining breath going to the hand and the foot. If you want a little more, you can turn your head away from the arm, give your neck a little bit of a release. And then when you're ready, if you've turned your head, bring it back to the center and lower the arm, bend the knee, and take a moment to feel how one side feels compared with the other. And then we'll stretch out the other leg and taking the arm overhead, or it could be more to the side, depending on what's most comfortable for your shoulder. And then a little reach out with your foot, reach out with your fingertips and breathing into that long side of your body from the armpit to the hip, or maybe from the fingers to the foot. Again, you could turn your head away from your arm if you want a little bit more, with a little bit of stretch for the neck. And then again, we'll bring the head back to center, lower the arm back, bend the knee, and walk your feet in so that they're right underneath, heels right underneath the hip, or heels underneath the knees, arms down at your sides. And we'll keep working with a little bit of gentle expansion and extension in the bridge pose. So here you can lift the arms as you lift the hips. So you'll press down into the feet to begin with. And then as the hips lift, you'll take the arms and lift them overhead towards the floor behind you. And then as you exhale, lowering the hips, lowering the arms. As always, you can coordinate with the breath if that feels like a good pace for you. or just move and breathe freely at the pace that feels comfortable for you, not coordinating together. And then you can do a few more dynamically, or if you've had enough, you can stay down and rest, or you may want to come into the pose and find a position where your arms are really comfortable. Again, could be straight overhead or more to the sides, like a T or like a Y. And stay for a few breaths. Feeling the front line of the body from the shoulders to the knees lengthening, the back line of the body contracting from the knees to the shoulders. So gently engaging the buttocks, hamstrings, low back. Keep your jaw, neck, and face relaxed. And then when you're ready, slowly release and lower down. Slide the arms down, and you can bring your knees up in toward your chest. And here, drawing the knees toward you as you exhale, and moving the knees away as you inhale. You can stretch the arms and legs toward the ceiling, give a little shake. Hug the knees in, give a little squeeze, maybe rock a bit from side to side. We're going to come up to sit, so you can either roll to your side. That's the simple, easiest way to come upright, or if it feels comfortable for you, you could simply roll upright. And then from here, we'll sit for a few minutes. So you may appreciate sitting on some kind of a cushion, or perhaps a blanket or block if you prefer. So whatever feels good for you, or maybe more determined by whatever's handy for you. Of course, you can sit straight on the ground, but it's usually easier to get a little more length in the spine when you're sitting up a little bit, less rounding. So finding a comfortable seat, and we'll keep working mainly with the upper body today. So we'll start up with the head and neck. Let's do a few movements for the eyes. The eyes have muscles that can also get weak and tight. So we'll sitting still with the head pointing forward, so we're not lifting the head, and lift the eyes up toward the ceiling. Take a moment to feel that stretch in the eyes. And then looking down again without turning the head down, looking down towards the ground. And then we'll look to the right and look to the left. And then come back to the center. And then we'll take the head and turn it all the way to one side. And then with your eyes, continue to look behind you. And then come back to the center and go the other way. So turning your head to the side and continuing that path with your eyes, giving the eyes a little more stretch. Good. And then come back to the center. Let's take the hands to the thighs or the knees, and we'll do a little flexion and extension for the spine here. So lifting the chest, draw your shoulders back. You can lift the head, but don't throw it back. So think about the head staying in line with your spine, and then extend that line with your eyes, looking up. And then coming forward, you can round the back a bit, look down, and looking towards your nose, stretching the eyes that way, and then coming back up. Again, you're not throwing the head back, but extending that line with your eyes. And looking down, rounding the back, going through that pattern a few more times. And then again, coming back to a neutral spine. And we'll take the head and turn it to one side. And this time making a little sweep across the front of the chest to come up to the other side. And then you'll sweep down and back. So going side to side, move at your own pace. It doesn't matter how you're breathing here, just do keep breathing. If it feels good for your neck, you can make a full circle. You want to be cautious again not to let your head fall back behind your shoulders. So you could have the intention of never having your nose pointing up at the ceiling, and that will keep your head in a good position. Maybe circle the other way if you're circling. And I should say, if you're not comfortable sitting cross-legged, feel free to stretch your legs out. And at any point, if you feel uncomfortable, go ahead and shift your position. We'll stay here for a couple more minutes. You want to be comfortable. So we'll take the hands now and interlace the fingers, and you'll let the hands come and rest behind your head. And then let the elbows open and allow the head to lift, or the chest to lift, so the head rests a little into the hands. Again, you're looking for a long neck and not letting your head fall way back, but following the extension of your spine. So from here, you'll take a breath in. As you exhale, let your upper back round. You can bring your elbows in, but try not to yank on your head. So you're not pulling down, but just opening up the shoulder blades and back. And then drawing your elbows wide. You can breathe in as you lift, breathe out as you come forward. Now, if this is not comfortable for your shoulders, you can do the same movement without the arms. And then we'll come back upright. And again, if you're still comfortable here, keep your hands here. You could do this one also with the hands on the shoulders, if that's a better position for you. So we're going to extend the spine long and let one elbow come down to the side. The other elbow moves back a little and then come to the center. Other elbow comes down and the upper elbow moves back a little. So we're not twisting forward, but coming into a side bend. So coming up. If you want to coordinate your breath, inhale center, exhale as you go to the side. And it's not a big movement. Rib cage lifts, lengthens, and moves to the side. Right, and then come back. You can take the arms, reach them up, fingers toward the ceiling, relax your elbows and shoulders, and then release and bring the arms down. I'll bring the hands to the knees. We'll do a few more cat-cow or extension flexion, so rounding with an exhale, lifting with an inhale. So really trying to create some space around the heart with these movements and the focus on the breath. Creating that feeling of spaciousness, in Sanskrit called sukha, or expanded space or good space, often translated as happiness or joy or ease. And when we can feel that expanded space, we might find ourselves with a bigger container to love ourselves with. So more space for all that is, whether it's things that we naturally like about ourselves or things that are a little more challenging. Creating space so that we can hold all of that, welcome all that is. So you can bring one hand to the floor. If you're sitting up higher, you might use a block or something to bring your hand to. If you can reach your fingertips to the ground, that's fine. And then the other arm reaches up. And when you're reaching up, you don't want to bring your shoulder way up to your ear, but have a little bit of space. You can even bend the elbow a little bit so you're not not feeling compressed in the shoulder. And little bit by little bit, we'll go to the side with each breath. So every inhale, we're lengthening. And then exhale, lifting up and over just a little. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, over a little more. Try not to let your lower shoulder kind of jam up to your ear, so you can bend the arm and move it away. Each inhale, lifting up and over. Exhale, maybe a little more to the side. Again, this upper shoulder's moving back a little bit to keep it from twisting, keep a straight side bend. And when you've gone as far as is comfortable for you, stay for a few breaths. And of course, if you need to come out at any time, absolutely do. Breathing into that long side again from the armpit to the hip. Reaching out through the fingertips, and we'll come all the way up and release that arm down. You can place your hands on your legs. Pause for a moment. If you like, you can close your eyes and tune into what you notice about the two sides of your body. Can you feel a difference after doing one side only? And then we'll go to the other side. So you can bring the fingertips or your palm to the ground. Just depends on how close you are to the ground. The other arm lifts up and over. The palm is facing to the side away from that arm. And again, shoulder stays relaxed. So you'll inhale, find lots of length in the spine. Exhale and move to the side just a bit. Again, you don't want to jam up and lock that arm on the ground. So each inhale, lengthening. Exhale, finding a little bit of side bend. The upper shoulder moves back. The lower shoulder stays relaxed. Each breath in, finding a little more length, and maybe going a little further into that side bend as you exhale, but only if that feels really right for you. And then breathing into that long side when you find the place that you want to pause. Right, and then we'll come all the way back up. Bring your hands to your knees and again, notice. What are you aware of now? Well, let's come now onto all fours. So you can come onto your hands and knees. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. The feet can be flat or tucked under, whatever is more comfortable for you. And again, we'll do some extension or back bend as you inhale, exhaling, rounding, and maybe adding in child's pose if that's comfortable for you. So going at your own pace here. For those of you who are looking for a little bit more, instead of always going to child's pose, you could come up to downward dog, back to all fours, and then to child's pose. Take another minute or so with whatever movement feels good for you. And you can certainly take some time, stay in downward dog if you like, or come to child's pose and be there for a few breaths or a little bit of each. Or continue moving fluidly through those movements. So when you're ready, come down to child's pose, whatever version works for you. For some people, having the hips up a little and being on the forearms is more comfortable for the knees or the ankles than being all the way back in child's pose. Take a couple of breaths here. See if you can feel some movement of the breath into the back space of the body, opening up into the shoulder blades or maybe the lower back here. And then coming back up to all fours, you can do a little side to side like you're wagging your tail. Hips go one way, the head can go in the same direction, and then the other way. Side to side. If you like, you can make some circles, moving the hips toward one heel and then the other, and lifting up. Working into the sides of the waist, the sides of the rib cage, creating some space in the torso. If you're circling, you might even try a few circles the other way, see how that feels. All right. And then we'll come back to child's pose, and here you can try a little bit of a side bend as well. Now, if this doesn't feel good for you, just rest in child's pose or keep moving. So what we'll do is from child's pose, walk the hands one way, let the hips go off to the other side, bring the head down. You can rest your head on a block or on the ground, whatever's comfortable for you. And there's going to be one long side, and you'll breathe into that long side. And then coming back to the center, you can let your hips drop to the opposite side, arms go the other direction. Take a few breaths here. Again, you're breathing into that long side, and then finding your way back to center. And we'll do a few more rounds of cat, cow, staying on all fours, or you can add in child's pose or downward dog as you like. Then we're going to find our way to a standing forward bend. So from all fours, you could simply step your feet under you and come to a standing forward bend from there. Or if you want to challenge yourself a little more, you can come to downward dog and step your feet forward from there. So keep your knees bent when you come to the forward bend. Let your head release down. And we'll come halfway up, bringing the hands to the shins, lengthening. Exhale and fold forward. Again. One more time. And then you can let your arms dangle, bend your knees a lot, let your head be heavy, and slowly uncurl your body to come upright. And then when you come up to stand, take a moment to find your feet under your hips in mountain pose, or Tadasana is the Sanskrit. Heels sink down into the ground. We'll lift the shoulders and roll them back and down. Lift, back, and down. Good. And then to get a little more movement through the whole body, let's take the feet a little bit wider, and we'll roll one shoulder and the other. And let your whole body move. The feet, however they are, you can even lift the feet and move a little side to side. Just whatever feels good. So getting in between the shoulder blades, all around the shoulders, chest, and then go the other way. Good, and come back to the center. Just give your arms a shake. You can give your legs a shake. Okay. Bring your feet in so that they're, again, underneath your hips. Let's bring the hands together. put a little pressure into your hands. Feel your wrists and hands get a little bit of stretch. And then from the heart, taking whatever good energy we've managed to connect with today, whether that's self-love or maybe compassion, especially if self-love is a challenge, maybe compassion is a little bit easier to connect with. And from there, we'll take a breath in and then make a big circle around. So if you're spreading that love and compassion all around you, and we'll repeat that. So you're inhaling and lifting up and exhaling, big circle around. This time we'll take the arms and bring them behind the back. So as you circle around, you'll bring the hands behind you and interlace your fingers with the palms facing each other, and just let the arms relax down. So it's not about squeezing and pinching the shoulder blades back, but finding a little lift in the heart and breathing into the space between the collarbones. And then releasing the hands, we'll slide the hands down either to the knees, or you can bring the elbows to the knees, or let the body hang down. Knees stay bent. Take a couple of breaths here. And then it's like we're gathering all of that good energy, lifting it up, bringing the palms overhead and back to the heart. So again, we'll take the arms and lift them. Exhale, circling, creating this spaciousness around us. Hands come behind the back. Reach down and just let the chest lift without creating any force here. Breathing into that space between the collarbones. And then you'll add the forward bend, sliding down. Soft knees, release the neck. You can even move the head a little forward and back, side to side if you like. And then again, all the way up, gathering all of that lovely, wonderful energy back into the heart. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we'll take the arms and lift them up. Good. Spread the arms wide and stop when the arms are parallel to the ground, or slightly lower if that's better for your shoulders. Make gentle fists with your hands and circle around. And then we're going to lift the fingertips, pressing the palms away so you feel some stretch up in the arms. And then make your hands into fists, turn your fists down and bring the fist toward the shoulders. And then we'll push out to the sides. Breathe in and then exhale. Fists come in. Inhale, stretching out. Exhale, coming in. And once more, reaching out. Little circles here. If you like, you can make them bigger. And then relax your hands and make some nice big circles. Good. And then again, just give it a shake out. Releasing. So we're going to come into Warrior One now. So you can take a step forward, any amount. So the wider you take a step forward, the more challenging the pose tends to be. And you'll want to take your back foot and turn it out to the side so it's fully on the ground, well supported. And your hips are pointing to begin with in the same direction as your front foot. If you bend your front knee just over your ankle, you can check in and make sure that your back heel and the outer edge of your back foot stays grounded. So if you've stepped too far back, you'll have to lift the heel to bend the front knee. So from here, coming into warrior one, which is a little bit of a back bend as we raise the arms here, little extension for the spine. Good. Breathing into the sides of the body, into the upper chest. Relax the belly, let the breath move down a little. On your exhale, feel your belly button move back a little. And then we'll turn to the side. So whichever foot is in front, you're going to turn away from that foot, coming into the side, into warrior two. And you might want to open your back foot a little bit to changing the angle so that it's comfortable. And then look down at your front knee. It wants to be facing right in line with your toes, so it's not turned in. If I show you from the side, right? So it's not turned in, straight out. So often that means just putting a little bit of extra weight into the baby toe side of your foot. So we're going to move into side angle and then reverse warrior. So side angle, we come down to the side. You can either place your hand on your knee or slide the hand down the inside of your shin, the other arm reaching up, or it could come behind your back if that's better for your shoulder. And then when we come back up, you'll take the hand to the back leg, turn your palm up, and come into reverse warrior. So opening up the sides of the body. So coming down, the legs stay in the same position. The upper body is moving side to side. You can inhale as you lift up. Exhale as you come down. If you want to coordinate your breath, if that feels comfortable for you. Next time you're in reverse warrior with the arm back on the straight leg, hand back on the straight leg, stay for a few breaths. So reaching up and maybe a little back, but you don't want to compress the back side of the torso. So think more about length than anything else. And then we'll go down to the other side. So you can either place your hand or perhaps your forearm onto your thigh. And let's start by turning the palm back and bringing the hand to the lower back and lifting that shoulder up and back and thinking again about lengthening both sides of the torso. So the underside as well as the upper side. And your gaze can be wherever it's comfortable. You can look forward, you can look down, you can look up. Just making sure the neck is comfortable. And if you want more stretch, take the arm, lift it up, turning the palm towards the wall behind you or in front of your head, so that as you bring the arm overhead, the palm faces the ground. And then finding lots of length on that open side. This is optional. You could keep the arm behind the back if that's more comfortable for your shoulder or more upright. When you're ready to come up, you'll lift all the way back up. Right. We'll take the back arm, bring it down. You can lift the back heel, pivot the foot to come back to warrior one. Good. And then lower the arms, and you can step your feet back together. And just give a little shake out here. You might pause for a moment and notice how you feel from one side to the other. And then we'll work with the same pattern on the other side. I'm going to turn so I'm facing you when I open to warrior two. So again, one foot forward, the other foot back. You're turning the back foot out to the side so that your whole foot is on the ground and you feel stable and comfortable here. The hips start out pointing the same direction as the front knee and the shoulders, and you'll come up into warrior one. So shoulders relaxed. Think about keeping your belly soft, but as you're exhaling, you're drawing the belly back and in. So it's softening on the inhale, drawing in on the exhale. And then we'll make that turn to warrior two. So you can open the back foot a little, take the arms to the sides, check down, make sure that knee is pointing straight forward. So again, you might put a little more weight into the outside edge of your front foot to make that happen. And then we'll go side to side. So hand to the knee or sliding down the inside of the shin. And then back hand to the leg, palm facing up and lifting. So again, if you want to coordinate your breathing, exhale as you go down to the side. Inhale as you lift up. So when you come to reverse warrior, the more upright position, stay for a few breaths. Again, it's not so much about going back as far as you can, but finding lift and length on both sides of the torso. Breathing into that long side. And then we'll come down into side angle, so hand or forearm on the thigh. Or if you want to work harder, you can just hold the hand against the inner leg. And then palm facing back, behind the back, lifting that shoulder back. So shoulders are more or less stacked. And breathing again into that long side. If you want more, you're going to lift the arm, externally rotate so the palm is up, reaching the arm up, and maybe coming overhead. Breathing again into that long side. And when you're ready, you'll come all the way up. Back to warrior two. And lift the back heel, swing the back arm down. You're going to pivot on the back foot, bring the heel down. Come to warrior one. Lower your arms. And again, stepping the feet together and just give a little shake. So let's do a forward bend, dynamically releasing after that side bend, bringing us back to equilibrium. So taking a breath in, coming up. Exhale, bend your knees, release forward any amount, hands to knees or reaching further down, and then coming back up, lifting with a breath in. And exhale, releasing forward. Do a few more, going at your own pace. And you can continue dynamically if you prefer, or stay either with hands or forearms on your knees, or coming down toward the ground in whatever position is comfortable for you for a few breaths. And then from here, you can make your way back to all fours. So either stepping back first to downward dog or straight back to all fours. If you like downward dog, you might stay for a few breaths. And then we'll come back to all fours. And back to that cat-cow movement or all fours to child's pose. Bringing the body back into alignment after quite a few side bends today. We want to really make sure that we're even again. So take your time with that forward and back movement, or any movement if you want to come up into downward dog. Again, if that feels good to you, just take another minute or so with whatever would feel good here to release and come back to alignment. If you like child's pose, you're more than welcome to stay for a few breaths. And child's pose is such a lovely place to rest and feel the breath, and you might feel some movement into the back body. Child's pose is also a very inward pose where we kind of go into our shell. The outside world fades away a little bit and we can be more fully with ourselves. So again, either staying with child's pose a little longer if you like. We're going to come back onto our backs when you're ready, so you can make your way there whenever feels right for you. And when you do come down, you'll come to lie down with your feet on the floor and bring one hand onto your lower rib cage, one hand onto your abdomen, knees bent. Come back to your breath. So if you're still in child's pose, that's fine. Stay with your breath there for a few more breaths. Eventually you'll come down to the ground. And we'll take a minute or two here, simply feeling the breath and letting everything settle. There's no right or wrong way to breathe here, just noticing where you feel movement under your hands. And find some softening with each exhalation. So you might notice where you're holding tension and soften and let that go. And then when you're ready, you can release the arms out to the sides. And we'll bring the feet about hip distance apart and work with a gentle twist. So knees going one way, you can turn the head the opposite direction. Knees and head come back to center, and then going the other way. If you want to coordinate breathing, inhale as you come to center, exhale as you release to either side. Do a few more at your own pace. If you like, you can stay for a few breaths on each side and another opportunity to feel breath in the more open or upper side. If you want a bit more stretch, you can take the arm that's on the side away from your knees and reach it up a little higher, maybe overhead or out to the side a little more. Again, you want to make sure your shoulder is comfortable, so bending the elbow if you need to or lowering it down as much as you need to be comfortable. If you're staying on one side, you'll want to shift and also stay on the other side. And again, play around with the positioning of your arm to get that nice stretch across the chest, into the waist, down into the hip. Sending your breath into that openness, inviting a little more space. Expanding our container for love, for self-love, so that we can fit all of who we are and welcome all of who we are into that space. Eventually coming back to the center. If your hips feel a little off kilter, you might want to lift them up and bring them down till they feel aligned with your spine, and then we'll bring the knees to the chest, one hand to each knee, and move forward and back. Exhaling as you draw in, inhaling as you move away. And then any movement you like. It could be circles here, it could be hugging the knees in and rocking side to side. You may want to stretch the legs and arms again here, reaching out with the breath in into the center as you exhale. So whatever would help you to feel nicely balanced side to side after our side bends, and then a little bit of twisting to release the back. You want to really come back to an equal feeling. And whenever you feel complete, whenever you feel aligned and ready to come into Shavasana, you can go ahead and release the legs and then find your way into whatever position will be comfortable for you. That might be sitting for you. It might be lying down like this with knees bent. It could be legs straight, or perhaps a blanket or a bolster under your knees. The arms could be on your body or on the ground. It really doesn't matter. So whatever is more comfortable for you. So you're staying here on your back as I come to sit. So finding whatever position is going to be most comfortable for you for the next few minutes to relax and integrate the work of the practice from today. So let's come back to the breath. A feeling of gentle expansion, not forcing the breath in any way, but gently feeling that bit of expansion on your inhale. And then a softening and dropping down into the earth as you exhale, letting go of effort, letting go of tension. Stay with the breath. And as you exhale, let the weight of your head sink down. Let go of any holding in the neck, any effort in the neck. And as you let your head sink down, perhaps you can feel the muscles of your neck release even more, the muscles of your jaw and face relax, the little space between your eyebrows releasing. And then exhaling, feel your shoulders drop down. Let go of any holding or tension in the shoulders and feel some space across your collarbones, perhaps feeling the breath moving into that space. And then allow your arms to release. Know that there's nothing you need to do right now. Feel your hands let go, any gripping or holding, allowing that to release as you exhale. Feel the weight of your rib cage sink down into the earth and all the little muscles that support your ribs softening as the breath moves easily and freely as much as possible. Check in with your belly. Are you holding tension? Could you relax your abdomen a little bit more? Could you let go of tension around the belly, into the lower back? And as you exhale, could you allow the pelvis to be a little heavier, feeling a sense of dropping through the back of the pelvis? And a releasing and softening all around the hips. And then thighs release, knees drop, calves and shins let go, ankles and feet release. When we connect with our own hearts and our own ability to find some connection, expansion, and self-love, what we start to realize is that we are all connected through this energetic heart field. And when we feel that connection with each other, through that connection with ourselves, we realize that everything is connected. And that nature nourishes our bodies and we nourish nature through our bodies. And I'll share a tiny little bit of a chant, much longer chant, that talks about this heart connection and our nourishment through nature. Om Agnir me vachi shritaha Vaghridaye Hridayam Mahi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Vayurme Prane Shritaha Prano Hridaye Hridayam Mahi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Suryo Me Chakshushi Shritaha Chakshurdaye Hridayam Mahi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Chandrama Me Manasi Shritaha Mano Hridaye Hridayam Mahi Aham Amrite Amritam Brahmani Om. So come back to your breath now. Notice that you're breathing. Feel the space around the heart, the space in the belly. And know that if today's theme was a little challenging for you, you're not alone. Many of us struggle with self-love. So compassion for whatever part of yourself is struggling this morning. And if today's theme felt really alive for you, felt good for you, take a few deep breaths and carrying that with you as you go through your day. You can deepen your breath a little more and add some movement. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes or stretch out in whatever way would feel good for you. Eventually making your way onto your side. And of course, if you want to stay a little longer in Shavasana, you can simply ignore my instructions and stay there. And if you're ready to get on with your day, you can roll onto your side and slowly make your way back to sitting. And let's take one hand over the other in the center of the chest, the heart center. And in whatever way you've been able to connect to that heart center today, and that idea of expansion and welcoming in all that we are in self-love or compassion, taking a moment to be with that space, carrying it with you as you go through your day. And then palms come together. Namaste.